Good morning, YouTube. As of yesterday, Joan Rivers is dead at 81 years of age. Those of you who don't remember her, she was quoted for saying, "What are you wearing?" Yeah. Also, the beach cruiser is pretty much done. You can see it in the corner right there. The only thing it needs is the proper sized spark plug. This one I have right here is too long on this end right here. It needs to be about half this size to fit it. So I'll get that picked up today and taken care of, obviously, but for the most part, that's all it needs is a spark plug. Uh, so Joan Rivers was going to the hospital for vocal cord surgery when it went horribly wrong. She was then transferred to another freaking hospital, and she was on life support when she basically was going in and out on support, and she finally just, yeah. So, when Robin Williams died, YouTube, I drank a fifth of vodka and cried myself to sleep. That really, because I grew up watching his movies and shit, but you're not going to see me crying myself to sleep over Joan Rivers. I didn't know her that well, so, yeah. But in fact, I believe TYT has the story here. Wasn't expecting this, but hey,
Joan Rivers has passed away at the age of 81.
This happened yesterday.
She went in for a routine procedure. She was having a surgery on her vocal cords, and then there were complications. So as a result, she was transferred to a different hospital where she was in a medically induced coma. She did pass away today due to the complications of that surgery. And, of course, there are a number of obituaries written about her life. And I had known a thing or two about Joan Rivers. She's definitely a controversial figure because she had absolutely no filter. She has said some pretty controversial things about Michelle Obama. As recently as 3 weeks ago, she said some very, very terrible things about Palestinians. She basically justified the murders of Palestinians, which was ridiculous. But you read about her life and you read about how driven she was and how motivated she was. She came from humble beginnings, and she didn't want to have an ordinary life. She wanted to be in show business. She wanted to be an actress. And she kind of started off doing some acting. She was on off Broadway shows. And then that just kind of evolved into her doing comedy. And before she knew it, she was working alongside Johnny Carson. And as you guys know, she left the Johnny Carson show to host her own late night show on Fox when it was a completely new network. And when she did that, her career kind of took a plunge because that show absolutely failed in terms of ratings. And then her husband/manager committed suicide after her show failed.
So, yeah, there's a lot of disaster in there. So Johnny Carson gave her this enormous opportunity. She filled in for him every time she was the heir apparent. She was going to take over the Tonight Show. And then he felt it was a great betrayal on her part when she went to another network. And in fact, in the middle of her telling Johnny Carson, "Oh, I'm going to go to Fox," he hung up on her. Mm-hmm. And then she called back, and he hung up again, and never spoke another word to her the rest of his life. Okay? So it's a fascinating story. I'm really torn by Joan Rivers in a lot of ways. And I'm going to do the thing you're not supposed to do here, talk a little ill of the dead. Okay?
Keeps it real.
I know. So the things that she said, look, it's, okay, first of all, when you're doing comedy, I'm going to give you an enormous pass, obviously, right? So she called Michelle Obama a transgendered person, and she said Barack Obama was gay because he's with Michelle Obama,
yeah.
Right? And so I think that joke sucks, but it's a joke, whatever, who cares, right? But like her comedy was, this is going to sound so stupid in a way, but it was, but look, it's my opinion on it. It was mean, right?
Yeah, her comedy was absolutely mean. I mean, she hosted that show on
Fashion Police.
Fashion Police, yes. And all it was making fun of people for the way they looked, how much they weighed, what they were wearing. And I didn't like that show for that particular reason. I felt like it was bullying, right? So I just, and I know people are going to think it's ridiculous to say that it's bullying when it involves the rich and the famous, but they can be, harassed as well. So I
have to agree with Anna on that one because you know, especially during the Emmy Awards, when celebrities especially, some of them spend all goddamn day getting ready just so they can be picture perfect to have somebody tear them apart on camera. What kind of crap is that, you know? I mean, me personally, if I was going to the Emmys and I'd spend all day getting ready for the Emmys and getting dressed and getting my hair done and all that shit, just to have somebody say, oh, this person looks like shit, you know, I'd be like, really? You know, your job is to sit here and talk trash about my outfit, but you didn't spend all day, you know, but it is what it is.
I didn't really like that show for that reason.
Okay, now, look, you're going to think I'm a giant wuss for saying that, but I know that a lot of comedy is quote-unquote mean, right? Like Ricky Gervais does the same thing, but he's brilliant, right? And he makes fun of the really powerful, right? Whereas Joan Rivers, I feel like, would take random people out, whether it was a red carpet or whoever it was, and like, ha ha! I don't like that kind of comedy. Right?
It was more focused on physical appearance as opposed to actions, intelligence, talent, all of that stuff.
You know, whatever it might be. And then when she said about the Palestinians, you know, you're dead, you deserve to be dead. Talking about the civilians that were killed in the latest Gaza incursion. Don't you dare make me feel bad about that. Oh, I'm sorry. The real crime would be making you feel bad about that when there's 2,000 dead people, most of them civilians. And she said, they were told to get out. They didn't get out. You don't get out. You're an idiot. At least the ones that were killed were the ones with low IQs. And then she never apologized for that. She just turned around and said, I was, quote, taken out of context. Out of context how? Bullshit. Okay. So now, that's the part I don't like about Joan Rivers. So I didn't enjoy her comedy that much. And that, she's not joking there. It's one thing when she's joking about Michelle Obama, etc. That's not a joke, right?
Yeah.
But the part that I love about Joan Rivers is she was tough as nails. She was born, you know, middle class in New York, no advantages, nothing. She had to climb and just do everything she needed to do to get to where she was. So at one point, she's doing the comedy circuit. She's at a strip club in Boston. And it didn't even go well. And she recounts a story where she's in a dirty shower for the strippers.
Can I read that quote?
Yes.
That quote really stood out to me. She said the following. Even sobbing in the filthy shower in Boston, telling myself, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I had known I would keep on going, no matter what. My parents were not going to defeat me. And her parents really pushed for her to have a normal life. They wanted her to get married to an ordinary guy. And at one point she did. The marriage only lasted 6 months because she couldn't handle it. And she didn't want to have a normal life. She wanted to go against everything her parents said and live this extraordinary life. And she really, really pushed to live out her dream, and that's admirable.
Super admirable. She'd bring an old school tape recorder to her shows, and she'd record herself doing the shows, and then see what worked and didn't work, and the next night correct it, and then do it again, and then correct it. And the comedy night owners, the club owners, were like, man, we've never seen anybody work so hard. She had an older sister that she said was prettier than her and got all these accolades, so she had this chip on her shoulder, and she was just going to work her way out of it. She put herself in a hole by taking that Fox show. And most people, she said, would have just taken the money, and she got paid a lot of money, so don't feel bad about that show.
$15 million.
$15 million for that show, right? But her career was dead afterwards, and she's like, no, I'm not going out like that. I don't care how old I am. I don't care what kind of a hole I'm in. I'm going to fight out of it.
Yeah.
So I love that about it.
Another quote that I loved. She said, I'm never satisfied. I'm as driven now as I was when I was 8 years old and said, I want to be an actress, and sent my picture to MGM. Just as driven, just as crazed, just as worried. And that was something that was always in the back of her mind. Like, have I achieved enough? What do I need to do to achieve more? And there's something a little sad about never being satisfied, because she obviously did become extremely accomplished, extremely successful. But there's also something admirable about the fact that she wanted to continue working harder. She didn't care how old she was. She didn't allow her age to stop her from succeeding in a very superficial and very shallow field of work. And by the way, when she first got started in her career, her profession, it was male-dominated. You know, not a lot of women were able to do what she was doing. So in a lot of ways, she paved the way for people like me to do what I do, even though my job is very different.
Yeah. No, but don't underestimate that, because it's not just about women. Think about how hard it is when almost nobody in your category, and in that case it happened to be women, are in that field, and you got to break through that. It's even infinitely harder to do that. And I guess part of the reason that I feel for her, and obviously now she's passed away, and I feel for her family, is that she reminds me of my dad a little bit. Like, you know, born under not easy circumstances, always worried, do I have enough? Am I going to be able to provide for my family? Have I done enough, right? And striving to be better and better and better, you know, to the very end. So I didn't enjoy her particular comedy. I watched some of her show recently, before she got sick, but it was fairly recent, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't love it. But, you know, as you say, do you, boo, right? And boy, did she, you know, have the strength to be able to do what she wanted to do throughout her career. So I admire her for that.
Yeah. So. But, yeah, yeah, happened yesterday, as a matter of fact. I didn't hear about it until just this morning, actually. So, rest in peace, then. Yeah. That ashtray of mine is pretty full, so I'll go ahead and dump that. Here we go. So, yeah, I didn't know much about her, to be honest with you, YouTube. I really didn't. I just heard about this. And so, you know, and it happens, you know, it's part of life. I remember her from, you know, saying those exact words, "What are you wearing?" You know, so. But, yeah, you can see, I really can't see, can you? You know, it's, now you can see that, you know, the beach cruiser's done, obviously. I just need to get a spark plug for it. Yeah. So, I'll be picking up a spark plug after work anyway, so it won't be too difficult. I just need one that's literally half the size right here on this end. It shouldn't be too hard to pick up. But other than that, you know, I was not expecting that, but hey, you know, that's part of life, you know. So, well, anyways, this is KingCobraJFS with another video, and you know, thanks for watching, and see y'all.